Are you kidding me? Oh, great. Oh! Oh! There I am. Oh! There's another problem. I can't. Oh. Okay. Okay. Anyway. Greetings, ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary finery. I decided to do... There's two reasons for the stream today. There's two reasons. One of them is because I have, like, a list of, ideas I wanted to do for April Fools, and one of them was... excuse me. It was initially just reading the Jeff the Killer creepypasta, like the original creepypasta. I decided not to do that. Because, I mean, I feel like the whole, let's read the original bad creepypasta of Jeff the Killer has been done to death. So I decided, okay, maybe instead of, like, one of the ones that have absolutely already been done before, we cover some lesser-known, also pretty not great ones. Not great creepypastas. Preferably the ones that are not great in a funny way. And the second reason is because I wanted to show off this model here. Now, this is not... I'm sure you're probably able to tell. This isn't a normal VTuber model. This is actually a very fancy PNGtuber that can, like, look around at my mouse and such. Because I spent, like, what, 2 days making this? It was actually not too difficult. I might actually, because I wasn't able to find a ton of tutorials on how to do it, I might try to just make one myself. So I can see more people make these really neat, mouse-tracked, PNGtubers. I'm wondering, did I accidentally say it was face-tracked before? It's mouse-tracked. It's just looking at my cursor. Oh, and it's also... The reason it's done in a different style this time is just... I don't know. I just felt like drawing and like a more cartoony animation type of like style. I think part of it is like when I first got like seriously into it's not registering. Suddenly it decided not to register my mic anymore. Hold on a second. Settings. Audio. Hello? It's not registering my mic at all now. Hello? Okay. That was weird. It just suddenly decided to stop on me. I don't know why it did that. Anyway, the reason the model is different is for two reasons. One of them is I felt like I was kind of losing track of the entire reason why I even like wanted to get really serious about art stuff in the first place. And the main reason is because I wanted to be like an animator or storyboard artist initially. I'm not sure if I want that now. I'm not. I'm not entirely sure if I want that now. I think if I'm going to do any animations, if I decide on actually following through with that, I probably will just end up focusing on like small, short, independent stuff. And the second reason is I just figured that more simplistic style would probably fit this kind of PNGtuber better. And also, it meant that I got to give him these exaggerated swirly eyes. I didn't even originally plan on having the swirly eyes do the rotation spinny like that. But I found out you could do that in the program, so that was neat. Anyway, I got 3 stories we're gonna be reading today. And the reason I have 3 is because I wanted to cover all of my bases. I wanted to read a regular, like, creepy monster creepypasta, a lost episode creepypasta, and a video game creepypasta. I'm eating? No. I'm drinking water real quick. And it stopped registering my mic again. Hello? Hello? PNGtube. PNGtube remix, please. Okay, there we go. It just stops registering my mic every once in a while, I guess. Either that, or... No, because, like, sometimes I'll check, like, the... I'll check, like, the... Oh, maybe I need to turn this up a little bit. Maybe that was what the problem was. Second, let me save that. Anyway, we got 3 hopefully funny reads here. I say hopefully because I basically only know like the precise details of one of the creepypastas. The other one I only know in like summarization from a different video. And like the video game creepypasta I only know because of its association to another different creepypasta, and it's not doing the thing again. Why does it keep doing this? Okay, the volume sensitivity is all the way up. So that's not it. It just sometimes decides to not. What's this button for? Oh my god. I have... Okay. If the PNGtuber stops reacting to anything, just... just deal with it. I can't seem to find like a long-term solution for fixing it. Oh, fuck. Let's see if using the hotkeys I gave to OBS actually works this time. They didn't. Fucking amazing. Yeah, I actually ended up giving the hotkeys. I have been operating OBS without hotkeys this entire time and just been using my mouse. I can no longer do that anymore because if my cursor goes too far away from my PNGtuber, look at what happens. Yeah. Yeah. I don't really know how to fix that. So it was just like, oh, it's okay. I'll just give like OBS some hotkeys. So I don't have to worry about dragging my mouse too far away and causing this glitch to happen. But apparently they've decided to just not work. Fortunately, my OBS is like the closest tab on my right screen here. So I can still just like I look teeny. Hold on a second. Let me get a little bit bigger here. Oh, and not only that, but also let me turn off the lights. This is also done completely within PNGtube Remixed, by the way. It's very neat. It's very neat. I appreciate the vibes it gives. Okay. The first story we're going to be reading is The Expressionless. I can't find anywhere it says the author's name was. So I guess we're just gonna begin. In June 1972, a room already. That wasn't the pasta, that was just me stumbling over my words. In June 1972, a woman appeared in Cedar Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles, California, in nothing but a white, blood-covered gown. Now this, in itself, should not be too surprising, as people often have accidents nearby and come to the nearest hospital for medical attention. Oh yeah, I should also probably mention, the weather in my location today basically said, April Fools, get dust stormed, idiot. So, if my voice gradually gets worse, that's probably why. And where was I? Now this, in itself, should not be too surprising, as people often have accidents nearby and come to the nearest hospital for medical attention. But there were two things that caused people who saw her to vomit and flee in terror. But so, in preparation for this stream, in preparation for the stream, I decided to watch a few videos on like, fuck, why am I so gassy? Why does this happen every stream? Basically, anyway, in preparation for the stream, I decided to watch like a few videos about some of like the worst creepypastas, and for some reason, like, you all know, like, the usual, trope of, like, creepypastas saying stuff like hyper realistic blood and emphasizing how bloody something is or how sharp like a character's teeth are. For some reason, vomit is also a recurring theme, which is why that's one of the words in the thumbnail. Because I read like a not read. I watched a video about like bad lost episode creepypastas, and that just the vomit. It's just like a recurring theme. It's like why is that also a trope? Anyway, let me continue with the story. The first being that she wasn't exactly human. She resembled something close to a mannequin, but had the dexterity and fluidity of a normal human being. Her face was as flawless and as fuck. Her face was as flawless as a mannequin's, devoid of eyebrows and smeared in makeup. There was a kitten clamped in her jaw so unnaturally tight that no teeth could be seen, and the blood was still squirting out over her gown and onto the floor. She then spit it out of her mouth, tossed it aside, and collapsed. From the moment she stepped through the entrance to when she was taken to a hospital room and cleaned up before wrapped for sedation, she was completely calm, expressionless, and motionless. The doctors thought it best to restrain her until the authorities could arrive, and she did not protest. They were unable to get any kind of response from her, and most staff members felt too uncomfortable to look directly at her for more than a few seconds. But the second the staff tried to sedate her, she fought back with extreme force. Two members of staff had to hold her down as her body rose up on the bed with that same blank expression. She turned her emotionless eyes towards the male doctor and did something unusual. Smiled. As she did, the female doctor screamed and let go out of shock. In the woman's mouth were not human teeth, but long, sharp spikes. Because, as we all know, it's scarier to have sharp teeth. Too long for her mouth to close fully without causing any damage. The male doctor stared back at her for a moment before asking, "What in the hell are you?" That's an appropriate thing to ask a patient. She cracked her neck down to her shoulder to observe him, still smiling. There was a long pause. Security had been alerted and could be heard coming down the hallway. As he heard them approach, she darted forward, sinking her teeth into the front of his throat, ripping out his jugular and letting him fall to the floor, gasping for air as he choked on his own blood. She stood up and leaned over him, her face coming dangerously close to his as the life faded from his eyes. She leaned closer and whispered in his ear, "I am God." The doctor's eyes filled with fear as he watched her calmly walk away to greet the security men. His last ever sight would be watching her feast on them one by one. The female doctor who survived the incident named her the Expressionless. There was never a sighting of her again. That one wasn't too bad. This next one, you might recognize it. My goal had been to try and find, like, my goal had been to try and find, like, lesser known, but still pretty bad, creepypastas. But I actually had some trouble looking for, like, a, not so great, video game creepypasta. that wasn't also well known about. So after like taking a look at a few videos about gaming creepypastas, like there are plenty of videos about like the worst lost episode ones. Aren't like no worst like general video game creepypastas list. There's just there are like really hyper specific ones though. I found I found a video that was like two videos actually, two videos that were specifically for like bad Minecraft creepypastas. And just before the stream happened, I was like recommended a video about bad Roblox creepypastas, which I didn't even know that was a thing. Anyway, I ended up just kind of giving up, and I decided to just go with the unofficial sequel to what a lot of people consider to be the worst video game creepypasta. The worst being Sonic.exe. But someone else, not the original creator of it, wrote a sequel called Sally.exe. Technically, this is also a TV show creepypasta since it's focused on the Saturday morning cartoon, but I couldn't think of anything else. So, let's continue. Because I think the worst one that I picked here is almost definitely the lost episode creepypasta. So I'm saving it for last because it's the funniest one. And I did skim a little bit of Sally.exe, like straight. I want to emphasize, I picked this one literally minutes before stream started. I picked it literally minutes before stream started, so I only had time to skip a little bit of the beginning of it. So it's not as bad as I was expecting it to be, but it's still not great either. Anyway, let me begin reading again. I'm a big fan of the Sonic the Hedgehog series, like a lot of people. I narrowed down. Wait, hold on. Let me read this in the voice I was reading it in when I was skimming it before stream. I'm a big fan of the Sonic the Hedgehog series, like a lot of people. I narrowed down to the classic Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon shows, though, because I think the rest Sega has spawned was rat crap, each to their own. I was browsing eBay the other day. I wondered if there would be any items about my favorite character from the series, Sally Acorn. Indeed, what I found was a plushie that was manufactured in Sega World of Sydney. This is not actually the voice I was imagining, but unfortunately I can't. My voice doesn't go deep enough to actually get the right one, so I'll just continue with it. Which was closed down due to lack of visitors in 2006. Those Sally plushies were very rare. By the way, Sega World Sydney was a real thing. Sorry, I'm a certified Sonic the Hedgehog fucking nerd, so I know. And I can tell the person who wrote this is also actually a certified fucking Sonic the Hedgehog nerd, because they know about Sega World Sydney. Those Sally plushies were very rare, but I didn't have the money to buy her, and my parents would despise me. I examined the plushie for a while as the article came with pictures. This Sally even had her jacket. On it was written with permanent marker, God. That didn't. I know for a fact that did not have the same impact as I wanted it to. I don't really know what it meant. Probably the initials of the child owning her before they sold her. What a convenient set of initials to have. I clicked the back button to return to the Sonic Sally sketch, knowing I wouldn't win the auction anyway, only to find another article had appeared. Sonic SatAM cartoon all episodes with the price of $1 on instant buy. SatAM DVDs were never released where I came from. Bummer. Parentheses. Hold on, let me parentheses. Bummer. End parentheses. So, as happy as I was, I wanted to rewatch the show and check out the article. It had no description and no address where it came from. Germany, Canada, etc. It was missing, and the shipping price was stated to be free. Ugh. Ugh. Fuck. Can I not be gassy on stream for once, please? I looked up at the photo of the article. It was a blank CD. I've decided to buy it anyway, not just for the nostalgia, but the writing was great and I loved Robotnik in the series. Well, it all started when the mail arrived. It arrived the next morning. Oddly, it was Sunday. So, are packages not delivered on Sundays? I don't actually know this. I was happy to receive the episodes and immediately put the blank CD into my laptop, starting the DVD. Sadly, the DVD didn't start, but it offered me to show me the files. So I opened the folder and saw a Sally.exe application. I was confused at it being an EXE, but I started it anyway, and indeed, it was playing a SatAM episode. The episode Hooked on Sonics began. The episode started out all normal along with the intro. No blood or anything! Why would you begin to expect that already? Nothing weird has happened yet. But the sad thing was that my computer blue screened when the kissing scene of Sonic and Sally started. Parentheses. When Sally walks over to Sonic and kisses his cheek, he calls her kiss not so good and grants her a better one. And it was so cute too. End parentheses. Oh boy, we got ourselves a Sonali shipper here. The computer rebooted and I took out the CD as I thought it malfunctioned and I threw it away. I could have asked the person to give me my money back, but he can keep the $1 I gave him. I mean, it's just $1. I continued to normally browse through the internet, speak to friends on Skype and all. Ha! Oh, you can tell this is dated because it's still referencing Skype. Nothing was wrong until, when I was watching a random YouTube video, my cursor, the white arrow, in case you didn't know. Oh wait, excuse me. I broke tradition. Parentheses. The white arrow, in case you didn't know. End parentheses. Started to completely spaz out. Also, who the fuck would not know what a cursor was? I disconnected my mouse, but the cursor continued to thrash around the screen. I even deactivated my touchpad, and it continued. Suddenly, it came to a stop, and I carried on, ignoring what had happened. Why aren't you running, like, malware? Like, any kind of, like, anti-malware or antivirus program, dude? You should probably do that. Soon, I found myself downloading a ROM for Sonic the Hedgehog. Fun game. As soon as it had downloaded, I started up my emulator and begun the game in windowed mode, but oddly, the complete screen went black. I shrugged it off and waited for the game to start. The familiar Sega jingle didn't sound. Well, it did, but it was slowed down so much it sounded demonic, and it gave me a cringe. Wonderful wording there, and it gave me a cringe. That's like the kind of wording I would use if I was trying to write a sentence to intentionally sound funny. The background remained black, and Sonic didn't run past the logo. It faded to black, and some text appeared. I first thought it was a red font, but it looked like it was scratched into my computer screen. Up for round 2. Oh wait, hold on. Let me retake that. Up for round 2. God, I can't wait. I can't wait for my voice to drop on T. I can't wait for that to happen, because then I can actually do the funny little bits and gags I want to do with my voice. For once. I blinked and flinched as the main screen came on. The sky was a dark gray, and the clouds looked dull and black, like right before a thunderstorm. The mountains were decayed, and so was the logo. It looked partially rusted. Ugh! I was amazed at the pixely detail, but it also scared me. Sega 1991 was now replaced with Sega 666. Again! And the water was a bloody red. The familiar music wasn't playing either. It was just a 16-bit mess of sounds. The demonic Sega occasionally mixed in. Instead of Sonic showing up, 2 characters appeared next to the logo, Tails and Knuckles. The sight of them terrified even more. Tails' eyes were black, and they were bleeding. His fur had become a dull gray/black as well, and he had an expression of anguish on his face. Knuckles looked far worse. His red fur had darkened to a reddish gray. His dreadlocks were dripping with blood, and his eyes were black and bleeding like Tails. Wait, hold on a second. Earlier, when it was describing Tails, it didn't give it like the apostrophe to denote like the position. It was like describing Tails' eyes and fur. It did not give it the apostrophe. In this next sentence, now it does have the apostrophe. If you're going to be grammatically incorrect, at least be consistent about it. Anyway, let me continue. His dreadlocks were dripping with blood, and his eyes were black and bleeding like Tails. And he had a look of sadness on his face. Also, like, is the game part of this creepypasta just gonna be redoing the same stuff that happens in the original one again? Just then, I noticed a new character pop out of the middle of the logo. A pink, bubbly little hedgehog poked her head out. At first, she was smiling, but then frowned at what was around her. She looked confused and nervous, like she didn't really know what was going on. Amy Rose? I thought. What is this all about? Curiosity drove me to press enter. A short yet loud static noise sounded and the screen faded. I wish I hadn't done so. Kyle didn't want to play with me. The writing appeared again. Let me. You know what? I'm just gonna stop doing voices. I'm just gonna stop because it's going to just. Already reading is gonna destroy my throat. I should really not commit to doing voices. Kyle didn't want to play with me. The writing appeared again. What a shame. But I can play with you. Right? The demonic Sega jingle sounded again, and for a split second, an image flashed. It disappeared too fast, so I couldn't make it out. But I swear I could. But I could swear I saw a red and black Sonic with black. what a color combo! Red and black Sonic fur with black and red eyes. I almost felt them pierce me, and that moment made me jump. It didn't begin in Green Hill Zone Act 1, though. I wish it did. Instead, the tardicle. Instead, the tardicle. Fuck! Instead, the title card read, Not Perfect Act 1. Okay. The game begun. The ground looked like the normal Green Hill Zone, but the background was pitch black. Amy stood normally where Sonic would be in the original game. Ugh. Fuck. Surprisingly, that was a well-made sprite. It wasn't her classic self, but her current self. Oh, okay. I was about to complain about that because there's actually a little edit down here of Amy, of like a little screenshot edit of Amy in the game. It's her modern look. So it just occurred to me that the person who likely made that edit was the same person as like the author of the story. And they're just complimenting themselves in the story. It looked official, even. On the opposing side of the screen where Amy was at, there was a large silver ring. In front of the ring stood the sprite of Sonic with a smile on his face. The animation of Amy standing there was that she stared forward with a lovey-dovey expression. With a lovey-dovey expressions. Excuse me. Grammatical error. As hearts came from her head here and there. I guess I should head to Sonic, I thought as I moved Amy towards Sonic, but Sonic ran away and jumped into the ring. I made Amy leap after him. The level teleported to one of the stages where you can get a Chaos Emerald. The background was pink with love hearts all over. It looked cute, but I was distracted by only having 4 red/white colored spears to jump on, and I've tried to balance Amy on top of it as she desperately tried to keep onto the spears. But my control slipped and Amy fell. I fell onto a wall of goal spears. Just as I thought I'd teleport back with a loud shriek sounded. Just as I thought I'd teleport back, a loud shriek sounded, and the image of this demonic Sonic continued to flash over the screen. The screen completely spazzed out, and I heard shrieks. Loud shrieks from what I could swear it was Amy. From what I could swear, it was Amy Rose herself. I kept hearing, no, no, and loud cries of agony and pain, which abruptly ended with more statics for a split moment before the screen cut to. Soon, the title card appeared again. Knuckles and Tails were missing, but instead Amy appeared. She was smiling her usual cute smile, but her body had holes. Not bleeding holes or bullet holes, just holes that pierced her body all over. Her colors faded to a dull black and white. Even her eyes look oddly disfigured. I like how this author's main way of indicating that a character is meant to look scary now is to change their color palette to shadow the hedgehogs. Truly. Truly the most terrifying color palette. Red, black, and white. This scared me so much. My entire body began to itch. Ugh. Fuck. Fuck. I'm gonna let a burp out again. Excuse me. This scared me so much, my entire body began to itch. I scratched myself over and over as I watched a new character. I frowned upon seeing Cream, who had a sheer terrified expression and huddled against the logo for comfort. Poor Cream. I wanted to quit the game, but as if forced, I hit start again and the screen faded. Kind and Fair Act 1. Kind and Fair are like, those words are all bunched up. By the way, I need to like rethink this setup because the library background is super good for like ambience. It's not so good when I want to point out things in the text that I think are funny, because now I have to describe it instead of just pointing out what it is, and also just kind of like hoping people get what I mean. Anyway, Kind and Fair Act 1. The stage was a blank now, and the background music was a drowned sounding slower version of The Green Hill Zone. It nearly made me gag, but something forced me to play. The stage began, and Cream's fight was, like Amy's, very well done. Like, either the author of this made these sprites themselves, and they're just complimenting their own work in the pasta, or they like ripped it off of like a fan site or something. And I don't know which one is funnier. The environment was childish. It looked like a cute cutout. In front of Cream was the TV box that gave you higher speed. I made Cream crouch down and do a spin dash, and I dashed ahead, crashing the box. The level didn't change. The ground was a solid platform. It seemed that Cream was going faster, 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 and she crashed into more boxes, and more, and more. I noticed the music got completely out of sync, which scared me. Suddenly, Cream crashed into a wall of spikes. A loud splat sounded, which didn't even sound like it would belong in a 16-bit game. Poor Cream was torn to shreds. Blood dripped from the spikes, and the bloodied rabbit, as the background slowly began to melt in front of me. The image flashed again, and soon the title screen appeared. As expected, I was back on the title screen, and Cream appeared with Amy. Excuse me. That one was on me. She did look scared, but her other eye was, how do I put it, droopy and dead, and bled a black glue. Oh boy, the creepypasta bleeding eyes. Totally scary. Her ears were over her face now instead of the back of her head. Her color scheme changed from brown and orange to a very, very dark purple and red. Oh shit! We got a new color Color palette, everybody. We got a new color palette now. It's not just black and red again. It's dark purple and red. Her dress was a dull gray. We still got the gray. We still ended up with the gray. Time for the third character. And God, did I want to cry and weep when I saw Sally Acorn up, out of that out of that goddamn logo, putting on her innocent smile as she waved towards me, like she didn't know what torture would happen to her. The game was so terrifying, and yet so fascinating, but I wanted to stop real bad. But my hand wouldn't budge. I even started shaking. I wanted to reach for the power button, turn the darn thing off, but my hand just wouldn't move, and before I knew it, I already hit start and the screen faded. So you are capable of moving your hand, is what I'm getting here. I mean, I guess reaching for the power button and turning it off would take more effort than hitting the start button, but still. Blank Act 9. Hold on a second. Did we go from 2 Act 1s to Act 9? Okay. Blank Act 9, it said. A sad, dull melody played in the background as the silhouette of the ground, and a sprite silhouette that resembled Sally appeared in front of a background. Redundancy. Redundancy. I think that's still the same sentence, too. It's just a very long sentence. And a sprite silhouette that resembled Sally appeared in front of the background consisted the whole group. Amy, Cream, Knuckles, Tails, and Robotnik appeared, all in their tortured forms with a saddened expression. I just realized at the beginning of this creepypasta went into some effort in like describing what Tails and Knuckles looked like. I don't think it ever once mentioned Eggman. So he's just here now. It also had Sonic, but in a nearly unrecognizable way. He had a wide grin on his face, with razor sharp teeth. He had black eyes with red dots for pupils, which were bleeding. It looked like he would reach out to the silhouette in front of him. I tried to move Sally, get her out of there, but each wall wouldn't budge, and Sally would do a pushing animation. I stopped in the middle as, to my horror, the stage began to shrink, and the black started to close in on Sally. I tried moving her again, but the walls wouldn't budge or move. I walked Sally back to the middle as the walls closed in on her. She crouched down before she completely disappeared in the black. Splat! The red whiting appeared on the screen, only it was dripping with blood, and it was crooked. Sonic, my love. Suddenly, a familiar scene faded in. I recognized it immediately. Sonic SatAM was playing from where the CD cut off. It had a reddish shade, and Sonic had these black, bleeding, demonic eyes. Sally looked even worse, at least to me. Her eyes were missing. It was like they were taken out, and Sally's skull was sewed closed again. Blood was running from her wound. It didn't look Photoshop. It just says Photoshop. It doesn't say photoshopped. It's just Photoshop. It didn't look Photoshop. It was actually animated. Sonic pulled Sally over like in the show. Only tentacle-like? Only tentacle-like things bursted out of their mouths and locked, making disgust. Oh yeah, monster action. This isn't horror anymore. This is the kind of things you don't want people to find out that you've been watching in your spare time. Only tentacle-like things bursted out of their mouths and locked, making a disgusting slurping noise. I could even see them bulge, ew, in Sally's throat. Oh my god. I was right about my fucking previous joke. What the hell? Worst thing was that they even looked like they were enjoying it. And what the fuck? For a moment, I was too. What the fuck? Oh my god. I need to give I need to give this PNGtuber other expressions. I could see the corrupted tails and knuckles in the background too. Sonic pulled away. So? Not bad, Sally simply replied. I gagged and looked away from the screen. Out of the corner, I noticed something on my bed. On my bed was the Sally doll I saw on eBay, with its eyes missing. So oh my god. I wasn't expecting. No, no one. I. No one ever talks about like Sally.exe outside of like, oh hey, someone wrote like an unofficial sequel to that really bad Sonic creepypasta. Isn't that weird and interesting? No one ever told me that it had steamy monster kisses. My mind. Anyway, God help me. I have one more pasta to read. Fortunately, this one not as long. Uh, not as long. And this is the last episode, creepy. And it's just called Dora's Lost Episode. Dora, as in Dora the Explorer, which actually used to be a cartoon I used to watch quite a lot when I was a little baby. Anyway, let me begin. I used to love Dora when I was a little girl. I honestly don't like her at all now, but when my cousin Lauren asked me to babysit her 18th son, Lucas, I decided that Dora would entertain him for a bit. We watched a few episodes on an old DVD I found in my baby box. We were having a great time, and I realized it was time for Lucas's nap. So I paused the TV and put him to bed. After he was asleep, I went back to turn off the TV. The second I walked into the room, I heard the intro. I thought, I thought I paused it. Oh well, I decided another episode wouldn't hurt. After all, I wasn't doing so well in Spanish. So, like, we've established that the main character here, not a child anymore. Presumably, like, they're babysitting, so maybe like a teenager. I highly doubt the school meant for literal preschoolers. Would help in a high school Spanish class. And honestly, I hope it's just a high school one, Because if it's a college Spanish class, then that's extra. That's even worse. It's even worse that you think that will help in some way. I sat down on the sofa and fiddled with one of Lucas's little toy cars. I wonder what episode of Family Guy, parentheses, my favorite show, in parentheses, they would be they would be on that day when a blast of static interrupted my thoughts. I grabbed the remote and muted it quickly. Then when it stopped, it turned to 1. Ugh. Dora was speaking, but she had a grim expression on her face, rather than her usual friendly smile. She said, "Hello. Today we are going to learn about a monkey's body." Her voice was male. I was a bit confused. Suddenly, her eyes turned hyper-realistic and bloody. There it is! There's the word! I just realized the word hyper-realistic hadn't shown up yet until now. I fought the urge to touch the screen, to be sure it was just an image. She grinned hugely. I shuddered as I saw her smile grow larger. Her teeth were sharp, and her eyes were suddenly tiny. I saw a flash of something. I nervously played it back and saw a mutilated kitten. For some... I promise it wasn't... I just realized that I accidentally picked, like, technically 3 stories that involve, like, animal abuse for shock value. I apologize for that. I didn't really notice until reading them back now. Though, granted, the quote-unquote animals in Sally.exe are anthropomorphic. So that one only counts by a technicality. I gasped, and tears filled my eyes. I'm usually only emotional when I get angry, but I love kittens. I looked at it and realized it wasn't a kitten, but my cat Stitch. Seeing my sweet baby like this made me sob. I clutched my Brian Griffin plush, and it began playing all by itself. It was like something made me watch this. I saw Dora grab Boots' ear and slowly and graphically tear his face off. Ugh! I exclaimed. I hadn't been this disgusted since I read that Cupcakes fanfic. So here's the thing. I feel like unless there's something that blatantly contradicts it in, like, a horror story or a horror movie or a horror game, I go into it on the presumption that like, horror stories in universe just don't exist. But this just straight up confirms not only do not only creepypastas exist, but the narrator, specifically, the narrator has knowledge of them. Meaning that they should know better than to play along with the tropes. Anyway, I hugged my Brian as Boots showed up. As Boots howled. I was crying hysterically. I heard lots of other ripping and screaming noises, but I was too afraid to watch. I sat huddled under a blanket until the noise stopped. It's over, I thought. Oh my god, oh my god, how awful. Still holding Brian, I emerged from the blanket and ran to the bathroom. I vomited enough to feed an army. What a sentence! I turned off the. Also. Vomit again. It's fucking there again. Why is this a recurring theme? Why is puke a recurring joke? Why is puke and vomit recurring tropes? Why is it? I turned off the TV, grabbed Lucas, and immediately dialed 911. Lauren and Jonathan came home in a rush. Who the fuck is Jonathan? The narrator explains who Lauren is. Jonathan only just appeared now, though. Lauren and Jonathan came home in a rush, and I explained to the police what had happened. I reluctantly showed them the video, and they were revolted. I insisted they destroy it, but they instead recalled every copy of the video. Surprisingly, only a few had the disturbing video. I was taken to therapy to get over the trauma. I honestly don't know what has become of the video. All I remember was sitting in the police office hugging Brian and begging them to destroy it. If you ever come across the video, please, I'm begging you, contact the authorities. This has scarred me for life, and I don't want it to happen to you, too. Anyway. That's our last one. That's our last bad creepypasta, and it's by far the worst one. By far the absolute worst. Anyway. let me turn the lights back on. Excuse me. There we go. If you enjoyed this stream, and you're on YouTube, then leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell to be notified next time I go live or post a video. And if you enjoyed the stream but you're on Twitch, then follow me, because that's the only thing you can do. In my little about sections on either platform, you should be able to find my links to other things like social media, or if you want to support me monetarily, my Ko-fi, or if you want to send me a little gift, I also have a throne. Anyway, bye. Hold on.